Nation of Fit in 10, welcome to day 69, and we've got one day to go, and hopefully you've booked your final scan, and if you have not, I'm going to really encourage you to do so. I really want you to finish this challenge. Just finish it. Finish the course. The only way you're going to do that is by doing that final scan. Okay? So get in, finish it, talk to me, check in. It doesn't matter. It's not about a pass or a fail. Let's see where you end up. Maybe we can have like I mentioned yesterday, a dialogue where we'll come out of it and, it's going to help push you ahead for the future, or at least help you plan for something related to this. Okay, because I think it's really important that you keep going. But get in your last scan, okay? We need to get it done, and I need you to finish this challenge, okay? All right, I got a question here. It actually came through Calendly. I don't have any more from the site. So, excuse me, not Calendly. It came through on Slack. So this person wrote me and they said, it was great to see your yo-yo dieting chart for that video you did. And I was wondering if you might do a chart that would show ideal progression over time as well, as in if we were to do everything right and lose fat mass and gain muscle mass and stay within a healthy food and metabolic rate. That would be something we could leave the challenge working towards. I'd love to see the ideal rationale of body fat, metabolic rate to food, maybe muscle too, over time. All right, so there are a lot of variables that we're dealing with here. But let me kind of take a step back. And I have touched upon this before, but it's really, really important, and I don't know if I've really articulated it well. So I'm going to explain this again. Now, this goes for whether you want to leave the challenge and maybe gain some muscle, or maybe you want to lose more fat, or maybe you want to maintain, or maybe you want to work towards some kind of physical goal, gain strength, maybe compete in some kind of athletic event. And that is the following. We need to keep a measurement on all the variables that are going to affect, well, let's talk about something specifically here. Since we're dealing with body composition, the challenge, in particular fat loss, let's just use that as an example. We need to have a measure of what is going on. If we don't have a measure of what is going on, how do you know where to go and how do you know what to do? Okay, and it's just like any other, it's just like any other endeavor. You've got to know what's going on, okay? You've got to know the books in your business. You've got it, your accounting. You've got to know, if you're taking a course, you've got to know what it is you're trying to achieve by the end and how it is how you are going to go about achieving that. It is the same thing with this. You have to have a baseline. And let's talk about food here. Let's assume that, let's put exercise aside for now. When it comes to food, you're gonna have a certain baseline, okay? And that simplistic baseline is calories. And let's just stay there, let's not go into macros. You have a certain amount of calories, and based on what you want to see over time, you can make an adjustment on those calories if you're not getting to where you want to be, or if you want to see more in a certain area. So let's use some examples here. In this case, I know you mentioned about gaining muscle mass. So I would suggest increasing your calories, although let's say you don't know what to do. Okay, you have no idea, I didn't tell you how to do anything. You leave your calories where they're at, you institute the stimulus that's going to help to build muscle mass. Okay, so again, lifting weights in that 8 to 15 rep range, or somewhere about there, 16 to 15 rep range, working towards failure, and what is happening over time with your muscle mass. Okay, we need to measure this on I would probably do it once a month, measure your muscle mass. Although you may want to do it more frequently just to get a better average, because it can be affected by some other variables. But the point is keeping everything where it is, okay, instituting a change perhaps, as we mentioned, let's say weight training, okay, more weight training, more intense weight training, and then seeing where things go. If we don't see the muscle mass going up, for instance, and we know that we're adequately following, the weight training is sufficient. It's intense enough, and it's holistic in the sense that it's, you're working enough of the musculature of your body. We would want to attack the diet. We want to take a look at that. So what might we do? Well, we would increase the calories, probably about 10%, okay, or maybe 15%. We'd have to, that would maybe take a trained eye, but you would make an increase in your calories, okay? Safe amount would be 10%. And then you ride that out for a while. You maintain that. You're consistent with that, with your training, okay? Everything else remains the same. You're consistent with that through time. And then we can see what happens. And I know this is a lot of work, okay? And I know, but and obviously it's nothing that you have to do. But if these priorities are important enough to you, or priorities or priority, fat loss, muscle gain, whatever it is, athletic endeavor, then you really need to keep an eye on these variables. Okay? You need to keep a stringent eye on them. You need to know what is going on. You need to know where you are on that roadmap in order to, determine where you need to go next. If you don't know where you stand, you don't know what to change, it just becomes a shot in the dark, and it's just a complete guess. Now, sometimes people do that. They're not doing anything. They implement some exercise, and then they think about cleaning up their diet, and so they implement enough of a change, and they see a change. So it worked to some degree. But if you're really, really serious about ongoing improvements over time, then you need to be very, very careful with the variables. Okay, and you need to be consistent with those variables. Consistency is number one. You probably heard me say that many, many times. I'm not gonna hear me say that anymore because this is the second last day. It is so important. You pick something, you're consistent with it. It may not be necessarily the best thing, but if you're consistent with it, then you're gonna know over time whether it's working or it's not. If you're inconsistent with it, then what do you change? Well, I don't even know, because you weren't consistent with it, right? So very, very, very important, okay? Your energy intake only comes from food and drink, okay? It's only coming from one source. So that is something that, you want to keep an eye on if it's important to you. If it's not important to you, then don't worry about it. But I'm assuming everybody's doing this because there's a level of importance with regards to, their body composition. So if it's important to you for the long term, I'm going to really, really encourage you to, take your macros where they are right now, and then we can look at changing them. All right, and you can consult with me if you want. I'm happy to help you. I do a lot of one-on-one consultations. I've been doing that for a very long time. Before, obviously, I ran the challenge. This is what I did, and I worked with a lot of competitive athletes, in particular, physique athletes. But just coming back to it, it is all about that consistency with the food, and then obviously your training program is going to play a part as well, and that may require some refinement and some changing perhaps. But ultimately, if you're trying to lose fat, in a simplistic sense, we need to reduce the calories, okay? To a certain point, not a lot, but a certain point, and then we have to be patient with that change, okay? 0.5 pound to 1 pound a week is plenty. I'll say that again. 0.5 pound to 1 pound a week is plenty. Okay, if you're trying to gain muscle mass and you're not using any kind of illegal substances, okay, what is reasonable? Well, if you're new, you could probably gain, in the first year, 10 pounds of muscle. If you're a trained person like myself, it's going to get really, really hard. Maybe I shouldn't use myself as an example. If you've been training for a little while, 6 months, year, I don't think it's unrealistic to expect to put on maybe, let's say, 0.5 pound a month of muscle. Okay, so you're not going to see the scale really moving up per se. But you will see a slight change in your muscle mass, in your lean body mass, as time goes on. But you need to be consistent, and you need to be what else? Patient. Consistent and patient. But coming back to the very starting of this, your food is something that we need to keep track of. Okay, if you're serious about your body composition or perhaps other athletic endeavors, okay, if you're really, really serious, let's just keep it a little bit tighter here, and let's say when it comes to muscle gain or when it comes to fat loss, we really need to be on top of what we're consuming and how much we're consuming. okay? So I hope that helps, okay? Again, a 10,000 foot view here. Keep your calories consistent and see what happens over time. If you're trying to gain muscle mass, you don't see that, and assuming the program's okay, let's increase the calories by 10%. Fat loss, keep your calories where they're at. Maintain your exercise routine. If you want to lose more body fat, okay, could you institute more exercise? Yeah, that's one way. If you keep your calories where they are, institute more exercise, that'd be one thing, because that's going to lead to more of a deficit. You could increase your non-exercise activity. That would help as well. Or you could lower your calories a little bit more, not excessively, maybe 5%, and then run that for a while and see what happens, okay? Eventually you're gonna plateau. Everybody is different, okay? Everybody's body's going to respond a little bit differently, especially over time, okay? You know, my system, sure, there is no perfect system, okay? My system's not perfect. There is no perfect system. There is a very good educated estimation in terms of calories that I give, and obviously we've got power at hand here knowing our lean body mass. It is very hard. It's much harder. It's not, I wouldn't say it's very hard, but it's much harder to you know, make an accurate estimation on your metabolic rate without knowing your lean body mass. So we've got that at hand. So we've got a good estimation. The key is, and it's the hardest thing for people, and that is consistency and patience. Consistency and patience. Okay? Keep in those really good habits of real whole foods. Real whole foods. Just real whole foods. Ask yourself every time you eat, are you eating real whole food? Are you eating real whole food? Okay? And it gets really hard to eat a lot of calories if you're eating real whole food. Okay? So this is a great thing to do when you're trying to diet. Real whole food. Okay? All right, I'm at 12 minutes. This is ridiculous. I didn't even realize it was at 12. Let's get the message of the day here. It's my favorite. You've heard me say it before, but I want to say it one more time. I don't know why the spreadsheet is refreshing. But it is. And here we are. I am amazing. I can do anything. Positivity is a choice. I just lost it. Positivity is a choice. Sign me back in. I lost my spreadsheet here. I should know this one by now because it is one of my favorites. Let's start again here. I'm amazing. I can do anything. Positivity is a choice. Still give me problems. One more time. I'm amazing. I can do anything. Positivity is a choice. I celebrate my individuality and I'm prepared to succeed. One more time. I am amazing. I can do anything. Positivity is a choice. I celebrate my individuality. That means accepting who you are, exactly who you are, not trying to change yourself. Okay? Improving your health is very, very important though. And I'm prepared to succeed. I am prepared to succeed. Let's say it one more time. I'm amazing. I can do anything. Positivity is a choice. I celebrate my individuality. And I'm prepared to succeed. Positive energy, positive vibes. Believe in yourself for the love of God. Give some gratitude. I'm sorry for this super long video. And I will talk to you for one last video tomorrow.